Hi everyone, another day, another share, and today I'm going to share the Bloc-Loc rectangle, half rectangle triangles ruler set. It is a set. Okay, you've got a left and right. So she labeled them A and B. Okay, and I'm going to go through what you need to do to make these rectangle half rectangle triangles. They're called. They come with instructions. They come with everything you need, along with how to do this block here, and all the instructions of how you would sew them, cut and sew them together. But I'm going to go through that today. Also, for these two blocks, these two rulers, and these are a set. They come together. You buy both of them at the same time. They also have these books, 1 and 2. And in these is all these options, to put together the different blocks and stuff. Now they have what you need to do with this. They have square and a squares. They have all different types of blocks. This is number 2. So the number 2 is a little bit more intense. But number 1, a lot of it is just things like this. This one here, Storm at Sea. And then she shows you some different ways of putting a storm at sea, with colors, so you get a picture of it. Another block. So every 2 pages is another block. It's another block. So there's the instructions, all the cutting, what you need to do to be able to make one of these blocks. All the instructions are there. And then she gives you on the back side of the page a sample of what they would look like in color with all the blocks put together. So these 2 books correspond with this ruler, but also she has number one, I believe it's mostly half square triangles, and there's some flying geese units and stuff. And you can buy the different half square triangle rulers. You can buy the different stuff that you would need to be able to put those blocks together. But I came up with my own idea. I came up with this. This is the size of a baby quilt. It doesn't say what size, but it's the size of a baby quilt. And I've started to assemble. I'm going to flip over to the above camera so you can take a look. I'm going to put myself up in the corner, and I just want to show you what a left and right block is going to look like. Okay, so you would use, to square this one up, you would use the A. And to square this one up, you would use the B. So you have a right leaning and a left leaning, okay? So let me just show you how to get to this stage. I'm doing the absolute largest size. I'm doing the largest size. So in her instructions, she says to make a 4 by 8 finished block, which is a half rectangle triangle. To make a 4 by 8 of one of those, you would need to cut 2 different fabrics, a 5 by 10. I actually found it was a little tight with the squaring up with a 5 by 10. So I decided to add a 1/4 inch to those measurements. It just makes it easier to square up, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put And two of these squares, your colored square, your background fabric, so your foreground, your background fabric, you're going to get two of them out of two squares. Okay, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut one for this quilt here. For this quilt here, you need to cut one for these to get all four. You need to cut one left leaning and one right leaning, if that makes sense. And I'm going to do both these cuts. So the first one is going to cut like this. From kitty corner to kitty corner. And I'm going to just put those aside. And then I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to cut the opposite corners. So you have a right leaning and a left leaning. Okay. So now I'm just going to quickly cut this. There we go. So now if I bring this back in, you see that I have one cut this way and one cut that way. So now, and I also make sure that my good side of the fabric is facing up for both of them. That's very important. So now we're going to take my left leanings and sew them like this. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to show you quickly. So when you sew these together, you want to make sure that this point of the background fabric and this point down here is going past each straight edge, if that makes sense. At least a 1/4 inch, because you have to sew a 1/4 inch. So let me switch over to the fabric, to the sewing machine. I'm going to put myself back up in the, well, I don't really need to put myself back up in the corner because you're not going to see me because I'm stepping out off camera for the front camera. So here we are at the sewing machine and I'm just going to sew. Keep in mind that this cut edge is on a bias, so don't stretch. Just be gentle with it and let the machine pull it through gently. Just guide it through so you can keep your 1/4 inch accurate. There we go. There we go. And now I'm just going to switch back to the overhead and put myself up in the corner. Hi. So now, and let me just get rid of this because I'm not going to need this for a little while. There we go. Now I'm going to sew, not sew, iron. And we want to iron to the darker of the two fabrics, which in this case, I'm saying that it's my my colored fabric, my foreground fabric. And see, look. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab these two. And I'm going to show you what and I'm just going to put these aside for now. And I'm going to sew these. I'm going to go back to the sewing machine. Now I'm eyeballing the 1/4 inch. I want to be as close to that 1/4 inch point as possible, and the reason is because it just gives you more more leeway when we start squaring them up, and I'll explain that in a minute. I really love the Bloc-Loc squaring up rulers. They have made my piecework go to a new level, and I'm really, really pleased with that. All right, so let me go back to the overhead camera, and then I'm just going to get rid of this. I like to trim off the excess as I go, so once the whole quilt is put together, I don't have to spend hours trying to clean up the back side, the wrong side of the quilt for the long armor. All right, so let me just get rid of these out of the way, and I'm going to just bring back in this and see how we have a right leaning and a left leaning. See? So now we're going to square these up. I'm just going to put this one aside, and we're going to do the left leaning one, which is, in this case, it's not A. It's got to be, no, it is B, A. Oh, there, that's better. Now, the reason why I cut it a little more, so I can kind of line this up. Now, there's a ridge in here, and because I've ironed my seam allowance to one side, this is a little thicker than this part of the block, right? Right where the seam is, it's a little thicker. So I really like these Bloc-Locs because when I go and square this up, it doesn't rock, doesn't move, and it makes it really, really accurate for squaring up. Now, I like to use, when I do squaring up, I don't know why, but I like to use the smaller, what is this, 28 millimeter. I have more control with this than I do with this. All right. I do all my main cutting, my strips and stuff with this size, but all my squaring up I do, and all my paper piecing, when I do paper piecing, I use this for cutting my seam allowances where paper piecing is concerned. And you can check out my way of doing paper piecing YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel. I will put the link down below for that. Okay, so now I'm just going to square up. There you go. Just going to move this iron a little further. And I like to use a rotating mat because I don't want to lift this ruler. So I just use a rotating mat and square up. And then that one is square. See how nice that is? So now I'm just going to do this one, and this is B. Again, I'm going to move up or down just to kind of make sure that I'm taking off. It doesn't really matter. You know, like you don't want to do this because then you might not be accurate. So you want to be able to take a little bit off all the way around. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just lining this channel over the seam allowance, and I'm really getting a really good, and you notice here you've got a little bit of excess here, and you've got a little bit of excess on the other side, and that helps for the 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. There you go. And there is the other one. That's how easy it is to make half. What is I keep forgetting. Let me just So that's how easy it is to make two different blocks that are the same. And these are called half rectangle triangles, ruler set. So what you get in the set is these two rulers. Sorry, these two rulers. You get a B and an A. So you get a right leaning and a left leaning, okay? And with the instructions. So I hope that you enjoyed this and you will check out, I'll put the link down below for all the products that I've used today. And I hope that you will subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notified of when a video goes up. And I hope to see you on the next one. Happy quilting. Bye-bye.